Hi, my name's Nathan, and on the 29th of September 2013 I was working as a tour guide on the River Thames when my vehicle caught on fire and the crew and passengers were forced to evacuate into the water. 365 days later I came back to the spot where it all happened, and I decided to make this little video to think about what happened on that day and in the year since.
So on the day I came down to the office just like any other day, checked in, grabbed my life jacket, headed over there to, well that's Roslyn, but it was Cleopatra on the day, jumped on board. We did the standard tour around the city, around Westminster, rather just like any other day that I've done. I did all the same jokes in all the same places, got the exact same laughs from that you'd expect. So the duck went into the water down the ramp at MI5, just like it does every time. Went up the River Thames, past the fire pontoon, under Lambeth Bridge for the first time, and then on down to the House of Parliament. So we came under the bridge, went down the House of Parliament, turned back round down the river. That's when I noticed there was some smoke inside the vehicle, a little bit of light grey smoke outside the vehicle, and the captain turned, started heading us in towards the bank. We came in here down to towards the side of the river, and the smoke was really picking up, getting a lot worse at this point. The smoke that was building up on the bonnet quickly got a lot thicker, and as I looked around it was inside the vehicle. Then suddenly the passenger behind me just shouted fire, fire, and I looked out and there was thick, quite bright orange flames directly outside, just outside where I was sitting. And just people talk about time speeding up and slowing down, and the time just went completely crazy at that point, because as soon as the fire came there was really thick black smoke, and it came up inside the vehicle really quickly in a column. It was it looked like physically thick, like a pipe or a tube, and it was coming out of just underneath where I was. So I was trying to reach the firefighting implements, like pulling out the fire pin, which should in theory close off some of the oxygen to the fire, but my face was in this, and it was like being blasted by just pure exhaust smoke, and I couldn't breathe with my head in, so I couldn't actually pull this pin out, and the pin was too hot itself because of the smoke coming off it. You don't think of smoke as being that hot, but it was hot in my lungs and my face. How the captain was dealing with this I don't know, because he stood by the controls for the longest time, and he was right there in the smoke with me, and I felt so helpless and so concerned, because I was there as a member of crew. I was there to, I felt like these people that were that had signed up with us, I had a responsibility to them. I felt like there was nothing I could do to help them, and this is happening incredibly quickly, and I've replayed this thousand times in my mind. I'm sure I'll play it thousands more. When people ask me, like, they quite often do ask me, did I panic, and did people panic on board? And honestly, there wasn't time to panic. There wasn't enough time to do that. That sounds silly, but I didn't have the opportunity to do that. I didn't have enough space and time to do that. But it's this moment when the smoke was coming in, and like there seemed like lots of different compartments in my mind. There's one compartment in my mind that was just my entire body was screaming at me, like, Nathan, it's going to kill you. Like, get away from it. Get away. Do anything you can. Just get away from this smoke. It's going to kill you. And I can understand why people stampede, and why people are trampled to death, and why people will push children out of the way to get to safety. It's that compartment of your mind which it's completely separate to the other ones. There's the other bit of my mind that was saying, what do I do? There's another bit of my mind that was saying, I've got to do something. This responsibility that I felt. And at that point, like, I got my life jacket on. That was the one thing I managed to get done. The other passengers were pulling on their life jackets this time. I managed to get my life jacket on, and I've never ever got it on as fast as I did. It's incredibly how quick things focus the mind. But I mean, there'd been a memo that gone out just a few weeks before, which said that we had to have our life jackets ready, and And so that was a good safety point because it was just there right on top of my bag, on and on. And actually the safety briefing was fantastic. We had to mandate to give the safety briefing. Passengers knew where the life jackets were, so that safety briefing was invaluable. People need to use the windows, and a lot of them went out the windows. But at this point, after I got my life jacket on, the captain shouted to me, he said, just get the steps down, get the steps. And at the back of the vehicle there are these steps which need to be released, and to kind of ease people getting off the vehicle, because he had a plan in mind. He got us into the shallows, and now we needed the steps down to get people off. But because the steps weren't down, people were getting jammed into the aisle, and I was very conscious about people getting trapped on board there and pushing each other. So I literally had to push my way through. I was just shouting, move. I pushed my way to the back, but I couldn't physically get the steps down because people had jammed them with the weight of their bodies. By standing on the steps, they jammed the rope into place. I couldn't get the steps down, and I can still remember pulling and just being, again, absolutely helpless trying to get these down. And now there were these people pushing through behind me trying to get to the back, and I could just see the entirety of the vehicle was completely solid with smoke, and that was within a minute or so. It had become completely solid with smoke. You couldn't see from one side or the other. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face if you were inside there. And the captain came to the back of the vehicle, and he was just shouting, getting people off. He managed to get the steps down, and that was in spite of all the smoke he must have inhaled, because he was up there for, like I say, the longest time in this thick, poisonous smoke. And then there was just this young boy who was, his mum literally held him up to me as I was standing on the back of the vehicle, and I didn't hear what she said, but I think she said later, found out that she said he can't swim or something like this. So it was this moment when it's what they call a dynamic risk assessment. You know, you're not in an office anyway. You're just there having to work out what you think is the best thing to do. And it might have been the wrong or the right thing, I don't know. But I grabbed onto him and jumped out with him because I knew I'm a strong swimmer. I've grown up down by the sea in Cornwall, so I was a strong swimmer. And additionally, I had my life jacket on, which popped open like a charm. And I got him over to one of the boats nearby. And from that point on, I was really a bit of a bystander, because I tried to return to the vehicle. I tried to swim back to the duck, but the current was against me in the river, and also I realised later that the propeller was still on, and it would push me back away from the vehicle. So I was swimming as hard as I could, but I was just literally staying dead still, like a Scooby-Doo, just stood in the spot trying to get back to the vehicle. And that bothered me a bit after, in the few months afterwards. That bothered me that there were still people on board and I wasn't able to get back and help them. I mean, everybody made it off fine in the end. There were no injuries or anything serious. But it did bother me, just the thought of what if, just the thought that I was responsible for these people. I felt responsible. I was there in a position to do something in theory. So I've thought a lot about it. Everybody got off. There were ribs because these emergency calls I got through, and these boats came up, picked up the passengers. But it stayed with me for quite vividly. I was shaken. I mean, I remember meeting my cousin a week or two later, and I had enough sleep. I was just falling asleep while I was talking to her. I was absolutely, she's not a boring person, but I was part of my mind was just closing down, and I was just using so much energy thinking about this over and over again. I've replayed it in my mind millions of times now, and I do think about it every single day, and I think I put together the perfect thing I should have done. If I could go back, it was 365 days ago now, if I could go back to exactly 1 year ago, I think exactly what levers I would have pulled and what I would have shouted in exact moments and got everybody exactly right. So I've got that luxury of hindsight now, but I wish I'd done those things, and that would have made me feel better. But in the end, like I say, people kept telling me at the time, everyone was all right. No one was hurt. No one died, and that's all that matters. A good few weeks or months afterwards, it really bothered me that I hadn't been able to do what I'd hoped I'd been able to do, because that year there'd been another company that had 2 vehicles sink, and so I always assumed there'd be a sinking, and I'd have a bit more time to get people in their life jackets. I just thought there'd be more time. There was no time. That's what surprised me, and that's just what I've learned about safety and risk assessments and everything. It's just never ever assume anything. I always assumed that it would, like I say, it would be more likely to sink than anything else, and that it would have this amount of time to deal with it. But you can never assume anything like that. So although I'd had these feelings in the few days and week or two after the event, having to replay it over and over again, and feeling quite bad about it. It was quite kind of tough just dealing with it in my head. After that, certainly for a few weeks, I had this incredible feeling of absolute, I can only describe it as euphoria, just absolute boundless happiness. Just when it sunk in, and I realised that everybody survived. Like, everybody was all right. Everybody was okay. It's so hard to quantify, but everything was amazing. Like, and I miss that feeling because it was so intense for a few weeks. It was so fantastic. I try and, any way I can, I try and remind myself of it. That's why I've come here today, is so just to remind myself of it, because it's easy to forget. You get carried away with life and things distract you. Just for those few weeks, like my sense of touch was just exquisite. Like I would just kind of zone out, and I could just like touch kind of stand there touching a rough wall for 10 minutes, or when a drop of rain lands on the back of my neck. It's like the most intense experience ever. Just eating food or walking around the streets of London it's just the greatest pleasure I've ever had. I mean, it's my favourite probably moment of film, even before this event, was the moment in Fight Club when one character threatens another character with a gun, purely to give him this feeling of adrenaline and meaning.
Raymond, you're going to die. I feel ill. Imagine how he feels. Tomorrow will be the most beautiful day of Raymond Castle's life. His breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I ever tasted.
And it is that feeling. It was the meals I had. They tasted better than any other meals I've had before. Smell better. And everything was all right. I just wanted to grab people. I was going to grab them and just shake them and say, "Look, it's okay. Nothing matters. It's all fine. Like, everything's all right. Like, you haven't got to worry. It's all okay." I think. And I do often think, ever since then, like my little mantra has just become, when I worry about things, I think I'm lucky to have these problems. Like the fact that, I don't know, that I'm late for work, or that I haven't got any bread in the cupboard, or I'm going to be struggling to meet this month's rent or something. Those are good problems to have. Like I'm lucky that these are things I'm worrying about. Those are great worries to have. Because there can be other things which are a lot more, which could be a lot worse. I used to say another mantra I used to have was worse things happen at sea. Whenever I have problems, I don't actually use that anymore, because now worse things have happened at sea. So it's become quite a literal thing for me. I think I've lost a lot of some fears and gained more of other fears. So I'm more afraid of fire. I'm a lot more afraid of fire now. Anything health and safety, I wouldn't say I'm afraid. I'm just very, very aware. very, very aware of these things. Because like I said, I don't assume X and Y and Z will go okay anymore. I'll never assume those things, I hope I won't. But in terms of other fears that I had, or worries, anxiety, social worries, they went right down. Like, I just realised that nothing really matters socially. And people can say what they want to you. They can stand there and say what they want about you, what they like about you behind your back. And nothing really matters. There's as long as you're safe and secure, and everyone, you keep other people safe, then it doesn't matter what people say. I asked a lot of girls out the next week or two after the event. A lot of them said no, but like I said, that doesn't matter. I thought, why should I be afraid of rejection? I just survived almost being set on fire. In fact, my hand was set on fire when I took my life jacket on. I had some very slightly burned. You think anything about what matters, what doesn't matter. I've always wanted to go and work abroad and help people areas where there are problems, and I've never really got round to it. So when Typhoon Haiyan happened, I literally just booked a ticket and flew out there and hauled rice around a warehouse for a week. Because the old me, I think I would have said, oh, what if I'd have found loads of other reasons why not to. It was probably a really stupid thing to do. I mean, I missed like 2 weeks of work, but that doesn't matter. Like I said, that's fine. That can all be sorted out. So I suppose that's, if there's any message I can take home from it, just really think about what matters. Think about what we should really be worried about. And yeah, fires and tornadoes and floodings. These are all things we should worry a lot about. But the other little petty things, they're just that. They're just really petty.
The question, Raymond, was what did you want to be?
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.